What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the quarantine zone again, and this time we got Mike of Black Wail. Thank you so much for being here today, man. It's great to be able to chat with you.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. We got a exciting week ahead of us because we got the Born on Fire EP coming out. You just want to talk about like how this EP sort of came together, the making of it, the recording, songwriting, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, sure. It was a long time coming. Actually, we've been a band for since 2014. We're pretty good friends, and it's just it was born of this whole pandemic thing where don't have a lot to do, so we just hung out, started writing some songs, and that's how they came together.
Is that where the name Born on Fire came to be? Just because the whole world was on fire, you might as well have just called it that.
Not really. It's just I think it was just one of those like stoner ideas, about the song was. I think actually the song Born on Fire came from watching Ancient Aliens, and just like one of those things where it's like, could it be aliens that guided the ancient Egyptians to building the pyramids or whatever, and like that. Seriously, that's kind of just what it's about.
Wow. Wow. Conspiracy metal. That's your genre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not really.
Yeah. And having the stoner vibe behind it, I'm kind of disappointed that this interview was not scheduled yesterday during 420.
Right.
Yeah.
It was good. It was a good day.
Definitely, sure was. And everybody in the city looked like zombies yesterday. You want to talk about like a zombie apocalypse? I mean, 420 come to New York City, especially since it's legal now.
Yeah, it's legal to walk down the street and smoke a joint. So
Yeah.
that's like the best thing ever.
Yep. And being that this is an EP rather than a full length, could this maybe serve as like a good representation on the direction that Black Whale will move forward in the future, or is there going to be a lot more to be said?
That's a good question. This band has been very diverse, and it's very difficult for me to classify actually what we are. So we tend to be on the heavy side, almost metal, I'd say, but it's much more on the classic rock tinge, or like hard rock. And this record kind of represents the last group of songs that we had that was in basics, drop D tuning, and then everything else we've done has been like either a half step down or a full step down in tuning. That's kind of how I classify the songs. So and it's also that we went in and we recorded at two different studios. So we have two EPs that we actually have in the can. This is the first one that we're releasing of the two sets that I like to think of it as. So Born on Fire is going to be an EP that's coming out. We recorded with our good buddy John Seymour, who is a producer friend of ours, has his own studio in his at his place. And he invited us in, and this was the group of songs that we recorded at his place. That's going to be the Born on Fire EP. And we have another EP that's going to come out that we recorded at a different studio with our friend Mike Mobius, which has a little bit, it's definitely us. You can tell it's Black Wail, but it's, like I said, the tuning's a little different. A lot of it is either drop C sharp or drop C. And it's a little more sludge metal sounding, whereas this EP is a little more like thrash metal / stoner rock.
Wow, so you kind of like to experiment with your sound a little bit. Do you ever like go into the songwriting with a preconceived idea, or is it kind of like a lot of
Never.
All improv?
We never go in with any kind of criteria. It all is just kind of however it comes out. The songwriting process is basically me sitting down, coming up with some riffs, and then stringing them together, and then showing it to the rest of the band, and then we kind of all just jam and see where it goes, you know. And then as that evolves, that's how the songs evolve.
Okay, so it is a very organic process. Maybe that's what you should call your genre, all organic metal. I've been trying to pitch that to so many bands now, so feel free to do it.
It's a good one.
Yeah,
I would say that's a fair assessment.
yeah, and not to undermine sludge metal by any stretch of the means, but like I feel like sludge metal always a song always starts off like the Big Bang Theory, where like honestly you just hit one note and let it sustain as long as possible, and then just see what develops on there. Like that one note is like the Big Bang, and then other stuff gets piled on top of it. That's how I've always looked at sludge.
Yeah, that's kind of accurate, I would say. I would say that ours, the reason I call it sludge metal is that a lot of the tempos are a lot slower. So it's like detuned a little bit, and then the tempos are slow. So it's like lumbering along, slow, sludgy kind of metal. That's coming on this. That's coming on the second EP. We're gonna get to that later. This EP is more, I would say, like and Justice for All type,
So,
thrash metal riffage.
so no bass?
Well, nah, I don't want to say that. There's definitely bass involved, but as far as like the way the riffs are, is a little more like thrash metal type, old school stuff. And then thrown in with a little like psychedelic, stoner rock stuff.
Yeah, social media imprisoning me. All that I see, absolute drama. I cannot share. I cannot like. I had to throw that in there. I earned myself a dislike on this
Pretty
video
good.
for that. But like, do you find it easier to maybe come up with riffs and to come up with, guitar sounds when you're in the company of your other bandmates, or do you prefer to write more a bit like alone and isolation and kind of isolation being the fuel for creativity, what it is, so.
So I never really like. It's hard to quantify what I actually like, what the process is. It's just that all I can really do is reflect back on how it happened for the stuff that we have gotten together, and it has since the life of the band, it has been me coming up with riffs on my own, just in like my practice time. I pick up the guitar every day in some respect, even if it's just sitting on my couch and just like playing away. So in the life of the band, it's been me coming up with a riff and then bringing it to like our rehearsal space, and it'll either be me and Ed, the other guitar player, will kind of like, I'll show it to him, he'll listen to it, maybe he'll just start like improvising a solo over top of it, or the other way around. He'll start playing the riff that I show him, and then I'll start soloing over it. Other people will come in and we'll just start to play it. That's how all of the song processes has come out thus far. But I just wanted to. The point I'm trying to make is that was never planned out. We never planned to do it that way, or we never said we should follow this formula for songwriting. Never did anything like that. It's always just come out with us just hanging out without really ever coming up with an agenda. The only agendas we really ever came up with were hashing out the songs together live, and then like one of us will go in and record like the whole song. It's usually me. I'll go in because we have a rehearsal space and we have some equipment that we can make demos with. We can record. So like, I'll put down the drums, bass, guitar, and make like the basic song from beginning to end. And then that will go out in an email to all the people in the band. Oh yeah, and I remember jamming on this thing, but this is like the structure of the song. This is how it starts and goes to the end. And that's how we all learn.
Yeah.
Right? So that when we come back to rehearsal, we kind of have the song from beginning to end learned, so that we can have something to do at rehearsal. Like play a song how it goes, and then it'll evolve from there. Like as we come up with little parts or the little details of the song will come out in the process, and then everyone's style will come through. The little things that make our own individual playing special or whatever comes out through that process.
It seems like your songwriting process reminds me a lot of I went to art school, so it reminds me a lot of figure drawing in a way, because when you draw a figure, you're not just to focus on the hair and the nails and the exact details right away. You're supposed to just completely borderline scribble just to get the right shape of it, and then you add in the shading and the details. Right. It almost seems like that this is like your songwriting process. It almost is kind of like any of the details that come in later almost develop on their own and practically subconsciously.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. That is kind of how it comes out. So there's like a basic structure, like I said, and then we'll come, as we all learn the song and progress, all the details will come out, and then we start honing in on that kind of stuff, and that's how it works.
Yeah, and here comes the most difficult question of the whole interview, though. How do you know when a song is done?
That's another good question, man. They're never done. It's funny you mentioned that, because we listen to the record now, and it's like we recorded that a year ago now or something, and when we come back and play it, it's even gone through further evolution. So there are a couple of things that we do a little bit different than we even did when we first recorded it. I actually think that the songs never stop evolving. There's certain things, maybe how the length of the song is always the same, but things that we do, little idiosyncrasies start to pop out, and we start to latch onto that and do it. And that's really how it just keeps evolving. For the most part, the song is the same. It's not, unrecognizable, but it's definitely something that's constantly evolving.
Yeah.
So I don't really even know how to answer that question, because
that's fine.
You know what I mean?
At least you can
it
be
is
honest.
Never done.
Well, because you mentioned this was recorded within a year and stuff. So with what we hear in Black Wail's music, is this just are any of the songs how they were originally recorded, the way that we're hearing them, or do you feel the songs do change a lot over a span of time in a way? There's multiple versions.
I think that they change a lot. It really depends on the song, I guess. Some songs kind of just are what they are, and it's very you can this riff is strong and this is always going to be played this way. It might be a transitional thing, between a part A and B or part A and C within a song, because a lot of our songs are, I guess when we first started out, we had more simpler compositions, but as we've gone on, they've definitely gotten more complex, where there's, not just none of our songs are just verse, chorus, verse, maybe a bridge in there or whatever. They're all multiple parts, maybe even two separate songs, but almost halfway through the song, it's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
It changed, it meanders and goes through. That's definitely the stoner aspect of it.
Yeah. Going with the flow.
So it's yeah.
And you mentioned all these different tunings too. I almost forgot this question, but how often do you have to change your strings? Do you have to change the gauge on the strings often, or even change your guitar?
No, not really. I've kind of stuck with the same thing through the life of my guitar playing. Not because I think I'm right about it or anything. It's just what I've always done. I've gone between basically 11 gauge or 10 gauge, and that's what I do, no matter what tuning I'm in.
All right, fair enough.
And just make the guitar work with those kind of strings.
Are you like the other sludge metal bands where you have more pedals than Tom Morello as well?
No, not really. I would say that all in all, I'm pretty simplistic. I have I usually have some kind of distortion I can layer over a high gain amp to give me more distortion. and then I have some kind like one fuzz pedal that I can either stack or use, either or, and then a wah wah pedal that gets used not that often, and a some kind of modulator like a phaser or something, and that's it.
Wow, this
That's
is
all I use.
all organic sludge. This really is like you have something going for you. I think you could be giving like the classics, the greats and sludge and stoner rock maybe a run for their money.
Well, it's not that I'm not into. It's not. I'm into. I like gadgets. I like gear. I'm a nerd about that kind of stuff. I just don't really see the need to like just because I have the pedal. I don't feel like I need to incorporate it somehow. You
And
know, it's
and
like this pedal makes it this you know. I'm just I like a good amp turned up. I like natural amp distortion. I like the sound of that. And then I usually will put like an overdrive or distortion on top of that just to give me a little more. And that's about it.
do you
That's my go-to.
and I noticed in the photo
And
shoot you're holding a Gibson as well. Is there a specific reason why? Is Gibson like what you've always been using, or is it just because you were inspired by Slash and Jimmy Page, or like was it just the best guitar for your style?
Gibson is my rebellion. My father is a guitar player, and he's like all Fender, right? And he's
Oh,
always been about Fender. And then so I was like, I'm gonna play guitar too, but I'm gonna go Gibson, just to be different than my that you know. And that was my whole mentality about it when I was younger, and that was what I always strived for. So it took me a really long time to actually be able to afford a real Gibson guitar. I had Epiphones when I was younger coming up, or like other kinds of Gibson clones. I had like a fake, I had like a some off brand. I can't remember what it was, like a fake Les Paul. But I got used to the configuration of a Gibson guitar, the two humbuckers, the four knobs, two volumes, two tones, and the three-way switch. That's kind of also become part of my guitar playing. So, that configuration,
I'm surprised you.
which is what mostly all Gibson guitars are.
If I would,
So that's kind of where I stuck.
your father being a Fender guy, you get a Gibson to be rebellious. I'm surprised he didn't sign you up for the Scared Straight program after that. But
Yeah, well, I mean, it is what it is.
yeah. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time and for a fun chat. Is there just anything else that you would like to promote with the release of the Born on Fire EP? Obviously, thanks to this certain virus that shall not be named. Obviously, shows aren't in the picture right now, but as soon as everything pulls up, I'd imagine we'll see Black Whale on the road and do a couple shows,
Yeah,
right?
that's just what I was gonna say. I can't wait to. I'm really stoked for the EPs to come out now. It's been a long time coming. I'm really stoked about it, and I also can't wait for shows to open up, um, and see if we can get the New York City metal scene back on track. Because it always was a little bit not like other places. There's a music scene in New York, but it's not really metal. There's a metal scene here, but it's not big like other places are. I would love to see that change. I would love to see the metal scene in New York grow
Are you gonna
and be more of a mainstream thing.
you gonna come to
That would
Mad?
be awesome.
You coming to Madball on Saturday with Murphy's Law in Tompkins Square Park?
Yeah, I'll be there, man.
I'm so gonna be there. The first pit, I, I'm avoiding that pit like the plague, pun intended. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's gonna be an epic show.
All right, bro. Maybe I'll see you there.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Mike. Everybody, Mike of Black Wail. Be sure to check out the Born on Fire EP. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.